Hello everyone, Chad back with Kinetics for another travel or at-home workout. We will go through our movements today. We'll take a look at everything that we have going on, talk about reps and sets and all that fun stuff. Keep in mind that you shouldn't need equipment for these travel or at-home workouts, or very, very minimal equipment if anything, but you are certainly able to add it when appropriate if you have access to things like bands or dumbbells or kettlebells. We always give rep ranges and set or working time ranges so that you can adjust the workouts based on the time you have available, as well as kind of where you're at with your fitness currently. So let's get started. Our prep section today, 3 to 4 sets. So you go through this 3 or 4 times. The first movement is 30 seconds of bear hops. After that, 8 to 10 prisoner squats, followed by 30 seconds of squat thrusts. And then lastly, 4 to 6 reps per side of a single leg RDL. So let's get started. Our bear hops, we're basically just transitioning, shifting our weight from feet to hands repetitively for that whole 30 seconds. So you'll get down into that quadruped position, okay? And from here, I'm hopping forward, slightly back. So I'm almost like I'm starting to kick up maybe into, not quite a handstand, right? But I'm starting to put weight on my hands here, on those bear hops. So I'm shifting back and forth, kind of like a teeter-totter, all right? You can certainly, depending on the space you have available, you can do this stationary. You can travel forward or backward, play around with your control there. But we're doing this for 30 seconds. Once you finish that, prisoner air squats. Hands up behind the head, in that prisoner position, working on opening the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together, not pulling down on the neck, okay? And from there, we're just squatting. You may find this to be a little bit more difficult or limiting in terms of your depth, just kind of based on how tight you are through your chest and shoulders, okay? If you have to limit depth a little bit because your heels are peeling up or you're pulling yourself real hard on the back of your neck, limit the depth some, okay? And work on it. 8 to 10 reps there. Once you finish, we have 30 repetitions of a squat thrust. So with this movement, this is basically just our no push-up burpee, right? As I drop down, I'm gonna get into a tall plank. At the top, I can either extend my hips really hard or I can jump. Personally, we prefer that hip extension. I think it locks in the idea or the mentality that you stay rigid. So when you drop back in that plank, you do, okay? So from here, my squat thrust. Okay, little tap of the feet. I'm tight through the belly, so I'm not arching through my back where my feet land. Okay, 30 seconds of work there. If these are a little tough for you, slow the pace a little bit. You're working for 30 seconds one way or another. Lastly, we have 4 to 6 reps of a single leg RDL. So, my single leg RDL, brace through my belly. I'm gonna push that non-working leg back, get myself down to a nice kind of airplane position here, and then come back up. If those don't work for you, so we wanna stay nice and smooth with them. Boom, I'm getting my single leg RDLs, okay? The leg and the torso travel together, right? I'm not rounding at my back and reaching down. I'm dropping my chest and creating a counterbalance by pushing my heel back. So some options for you, those of you that may struggle with the balance portion, maybe one side is good and the other side is not. Always start with the weaker side, or the side that is less competent, and let that guide your effort. Let that guide any modifications or anything you do, okay? So if I need to change it up, I might just need to bend my knee up in that back leg, and that might be enough to allow me to get into a better position. I might need a little bit of a kickstand, right? Where I put my toe down behind me. And I'm still gonna hinge at the hip. So I'm not reaching with my back. I'm just doing more of a kickstand RDL versus that single leg, right? So you can always just pop that one leg down, and that's a great way to adjust this movement. 4 to 6 reps there, and we'll cycle back to our bear hops. We're completing 3 to 4 sets of these 4 movements. After we're done, we move on to our sweat piece. We have 4 to 6 sets in our sweat piece today, starting with splitting up the push-ups. So we have 3 to 5 reps of a lower half push-up and 3 to 5 reps of an upper half push-up, okay? If you have bands or a weight vest and you want to add it to this, rock and roll. By all means, do so, okay? If you're really, really good with push-ups, by all means, increase the volume a little bit, right? We're not doing hundreds of push-ups today, but you can increase a little bit if you don't have any sort of resistance or load, and 3 to 5 in each position isn't that hard for you. But I encourage you to try them first. So, starting with our lower half push-up is just coming from the floor, chest touches, up to about halfway through your range of motion, and then right back down. Once you get 3 to 5 there, we're gonna go 3 to 5 on the other end of that range of motion. So our top half, where we're going from about halfway down all the way up to full lockout, right? So start in that plank position, lower down, get 3 to 5 reps in the lower half of the range of motion, and then go right into 3 or 5 reps of the upper half. Once we're done there, you will need a bench or a plyo box or a couch or chair or something to elevate your shoulders. Okay, we have single leg hip thrust, 6 to 8 per leg, and then we'll go right into 10 to 12 bilateral or just regular hip thrusts. Shoulders on that bench, and from here, I'm elevating 1 foot. Hip goes down to a hover, so I'm not sitting on the ground, it's just very close. Driving through my heel, elevating the hip. Once I've completed 6 to 8 on both sides, I'm gonna lower my other foot. I'm going back into a bilateral hip thrust. Make sure on these that we're not extending and arching through our low back, okay? The low back, your belly should be braced. The movement should be at my hip so that I'm actually watching my shoulders from the back of my neck down to my hip. That should be like in a plank or a straight line where it's moving, right? From that extended position down to where my butt's hovering off the floor without any arch through the lower back. Okay, so you have 6 to 8 per side of the single leg variant, immediately into 10 to 12 of the bilateral or regular hip thrust. Once we're done with that, we're gonna couple 2 ab movements together. First one, you'll need some sort of element. Doesn't really matter what it is. The height is what's going to make a difference for you, but you're gonna elevate your heels over this for our seated heel taps. So right here I have a kettlebell. You could use a dumbbell, a shoe, whatever you got available, okay? From there, I'm just gonna start my feet off to one side, hips basically lined up with the element, and then I'm going to elevate my heels side to side over whatever I've chosen to use, okay? We have 6 to 8 total there, nice and smooth and controlled, okay? These, I don't wanna see these just like you're throwing your body all over the place, right? You have your hands back here, brace through your belly, control the movement, okay? 6 to 8 reps, and then immediately into 6 to 8 seated knee tucks, okay? Once we've coupled those 2 movements together, we've gotten 6 to 8 reps of each, we'll go into our vertical hops. Difference between our vertical hops and our vertical jumps is just gonna be that I'm not looking for maximal power out of this vertical hop, okay? I'm looking for this to be cyclical because you're gonna go for 30 seconds, right? So 30 seconds of vertical hops. And I'm just staying with a nice rhythm where I can land, go right back into the next rep. I'm staying up on the balls of my feet. Maybe my heels are barely kissing the ground in between reps, but they're definitely not slamming down flat-footed, okay? Not looking for maximal height here. We're looking for repetitive, cyclical motion. Once you finish 30 seconds there, you're gonna go back to our push-up movements and start your next set, okay? We have 4 to 6 sets there. And then as you finish up, we'll get into our breathe section. Please don't skip this. Our breathe section today is a static back position. So hopefully you guys are getting the hang of some of these positions, but what we're looking for is you can take that bench or couch or whatever you had access to. You're gonna elevate your calves or your feet, however you wanna put it, till you're about 90 degrees, laying your back on the floor, Hands across your belly, thumbs at your sides so you can feel your breath. And then breathing, deep diaphragmatic breathing into your belly. Trying to bring that heart rate down. We're trying to control and lengthen the inhale, the hold, the exhalation, and holding that exhalation, right? Those 4 parts of the breath, we wanna make each one of those a little bit longer until we get ourselves kind of regulated and calmed down a little bit. If you can extend this, give yourself at least 5 minutes. If you can extend it to 10 or 15 and integrate some meditation or mindfulness, we highly, highly recommend that, okay? But at least get that 5 in, don't skip it. Enjoy your workout, everyone, and we'll see you next time.